Rishi Sunak has just announced that the government is granting hundreds of new oil and gas licenses in order to max out oil and gas supplies in the North Sea. What the mainstream media is failing to report is that Rishi Sunak and his family will personally profit millions from this deal. Here's the story. Let's start with the clear profiteering and conflict of interest by Rishi Sunak, before talking about exactly how disastrous this would be for the environment. It is yet to be announced which companies will get what share of the new oil and gas licenses, which will max out the North Sea's oil and gas supplies, extracting up to 500 million barrels. However, it's fair to assume that most of them will be going to the two biggest UK oil and gas companies, Shell and BP. Now, BP have just signed a $1.5 billion deal with Infosys, an Indian IT company. On the 10th of May, they announced the signing of a memorandum of understanding to demonstrate their intent for Infosys to be BP's primary partner for end-to-end application services, including development, modernization, management and maintenance. This is straight from Infosys' website. Infosys was founded in 1981 by Nagavara Ramarao Narayan Murthy, who happens to be Rishi Sunak's father-in-law. Rishi Sunak's wife, Akshata Murthy, owns 0.94% of Infosys, which at the time of the posting of this video is worth around $634 million or 510 million pounds. In the company's last financial year, she's received approximately £13 million in dividends, 6.7 million being paid just now in July and 6.25 million last October.
Her non-dom status means that for years she's avoided tax in the UK.
The wider Murthy family currently own about 4.15% of Infosys, worth over £2 billion. Oh, and guess what? Infosys is also partnered to Shell, the other main British oil and gas company. So it's safe to say that this North Sea oil and gas deal will have a huge financial benefit to Rishi Sunak's wife and therefore Rishi Sunak, let alone the rest of Rishi's in-laws who own substantially more of Infosys. So now it makes sense why Rishi's been consistently blocking and banning onshore wind farms, a greener source of energy that would be far better suited to achieving our 2050 net zero goals. Note that Rishi's announcement to grant these new North Sea oil and gas licenses comes a mere 2 months after Infosys and BP announced their primary partnership. I looked a bit further into Rishi's wife's shareholding in her father's company Infosys and found some interesting stuff out. Back in 2004, Narayana Murthy, Rishi's father-in-law, welcomed Vladimir Putin to Infosys' campus in India, held meetings with him and showed him around. Now this was long before the Ukraine invasion, but after the Russian invasion, Infosys still operated in Russia for 10 months after it said it would pull out. So despite Rishi Sunak calling on all companies to pull out of Russia after the Ukraine invasion, his own family's company refused to for a whole 10 months after the invasion. All this time his wife was receiving dividends from Infosys. When quizzed on it, he said the following.
It's been reported that you've got family links to Russia, that your wife apparently has a stake in the Indian IT consultancy firm Infosys. They operate in Moscow, they have an office there, they have a delivery office there, they've got a connection to the Alpha Bank in Moscow. Are you giving advice to others that you're not following in your own home?
It's not. I'm an elected politician and I'm here to talk to you about what I'm responsible for. My wife is not.
She is not, but equally, if you know, as a country, we are asking taxpayers to fund the UK's support for Ukraine. We're asking people in the UK to give their homes up to Ukrainian refugees, whereas it appears your family potentially could be benefiting from Putin's regime.
No, I don't think that's the case. And as I said, the operations of all companies are up to them. We've put in place significant sanctions, and all the companies that we are responsible for are following those, as they rightly should, sending a very strong message to Putin's aggression.
Do you know if Infosys is?
I have absolutely no idea, because I have nothing to do with that company.
Nothing to do with that company that your wife owns hundreds of millions of pounds worth of shares in and was founded by your father-in-law, right, Rishi? It's also worth noting that Rishi used to own shares in his wife's venture capital company, Catamaran Ventures UK, which he transferred over to his wife just before becoming an MP, seemingly as a way to avoid scrutiny from conflicts of interest. Rishi Sunak also reportedly received £141,000 in donations from individuals and companies with financial ties to the oil and gas sectors in 2022. Going back to the Rosebank oil field licenses being granted, Rishi Sunak defended the decision by saying that it's vital we bolster our energy security and capitalise on that independence to deliver more affordable, clean energy to British homes and businesses. Grant Shapps, the Energy Security and Net Zero Secretary, said, "New oil and gas licenses will drive forward our energy independence and our economy for generations, safeguarding energy bills for British families." Now let's look at the inconsistencies in these statements. Firstly, regarding the cost to British consumers, they have consistently voted to raise energy bill caps and voted against plans to cut energy bills for customers by removing VAT, proving this concern for the cost to the British people is nonsense. Regarding energy security and independence, most of this oil will be exported, thus providing no security for the British people, but billions of pounds in profits for the companies extracting and exporting it. Also, true energy security and independence would come from the production of renewable energy, not the incessant production of a finite energy source that will run out soon enough and be devastating for the environment. The UK produces more electricity from gas than every other European country apart from Italy. This heavy reliance on gas has led to us being hit the worst in Western Europe by the rising energy costs associated with the energy crisis. The best option for the British people's energy crisis is to turn to renewable energy that won't run out, doesn't devastate the environment, and for it to be publicly owned so billions of pounds in profits aren't siphoned off to offshore companies at the expense of the British public. Despite what these politicians say, this is the only way we're going to hit our 2050 net zero goals. But this wouldn't make Rishi Sunak's wife millions of pounds in dividends, would it?